Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over some new information we got for the melee weapon manufacturers in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So if you don't know the basics of melee weapons in Wonderlands, they're going to be much more similar to weapons in all of the other Borderlands games. They're going to have their own slot, they're going to have all the different rarities and stats and effects that you would expect on most guns. They also have their own randomizer system, so like how all of the guns in Borderlands can have all these different parts on them. There's a ton of different options through all the manufacturers and all the different type of stuff. Melee weapons have that now in Wonderlands as well. So in addition to guns and spells, melee combat is an integral part of your Fate Maker's repertoire. These weapons come in 4 core varieties: axes, blunt weapons, and one-handed and two-handed swords. Just like guns, melee weapons are randomly assembled from a wide range of parts with unique properties, resulting in tons of different ways to hack, slash, and pulverize. Whatever you wield, it's good to familiarize yourself with the 4 melee weapon manufacturers. So first off, we have Swift. Slash your way through any situation with a swift one-handed sword. They may not do the most damage per hit, but their high attack speed lets you do more stabbing in less time. Swift makes long swords high chance to deal elemental damage types, scimitars highest attack speed, and sabers high critical hit chance. So starting off, we're already starting to get told that every manufacturer is specific to one melee weapon grouping. So Swift is all of the one-handed swords, and then there are different categories of these swords that have different stat allocations, and I'm sure once I get legendary, some of the effects can maybe change that up a bit, but that's the kind of general guideline. And I definitely know very high attack speed swords are going to be very good for some specific builds I have been theorizing. So next up we have a Velour. You'll only need to cut once when swinging around a two-handed Velour sword. These hefty blades take a bit longer to swing, but their devastatingly high damage output is worth the wait. Velour Forge is great swords, which are high critical hit chance and damage, Claymores, which are massive base damage, and Falchions, which are a high chance to deal elemental damage. And everybody likes a good two-handed blade, and I could definitely see some potential one-shot builds with Claymores. They're seeming like so far that they're going to have the highest base damage, and there are some passives through some of the classes that have abilities to buff up single hits of melee weapons. So I'll definitely keep my eye out for some builds like that. So next up we have Cleave. Chop your opposition down to size with a finely crafted Cleave axe. If you love to dish out critical hits or just want to shout timber, Cleave's got what you need. Cleave produces great axes, which are high critical hit damage, hatchets, which are high critical chance, and kamas, which are high critical hit chance and damage. So I'm assuming the kamas don't have as high critical chance or as high critical damage as the other two, but they give you both, and the great axes and hatchets are going to be more specialized and have a higher stat of what they're giving you. And I'm assuming the great axes and hatchets are actually going to be in a lot of builds that more specialize in high critical damage or high critical hit chance with these builds, because it seems like that's what they're more going for with these. Then finally we have a Bonk. Stomp loudly and carry a big stick with the blunt weapons banged out by the folks at Bonk. Bash your enemies into a daze with these high damage cudgels. Bonk builds Morning Stars, which are a high chance to deal elemental damage, hammers, which is high critical hit damage, and clubs, which is redonkulous damage. And I'm wondering what the stat differences between all of these are going to be, so the additional stuff they give, because it's seeming like the clubs are going to have the highest damage of any weapon, even though Claymores say massive base damage as well. So I'm wondering if there's not going to be much difference between the melee weapons with the same base statting on them. So say sabers from Swift have high critical hit damage. I'm wondering how different these are going to be. So say for sabers from Swift, which are one-handed swords, have high critical hit chance as their special. Then if you go on the Cleaves, hatchets also have high critical chance. I'm wondering what the difference between these two are going to be. But that's all the information for these melee weapon manufacturers, and this is one of the really exciting parts of Wonderlands because this is completely unique to this game. No other Borderlands game has done anything like this. Melee weapons were nothing you could customize before, but now having essentially the melee weapon system, having a lot of similar options to the weapon system in the game, it's going to just add a ton of new variety variety. We've already went over and seen that there are a ton of passives and even action abilities for all the different classes that focus on melee weapons. So there's definitely going to be builds fully focused on melee weapons. And that just adds a ton of new build potential. But that's pretty much all I want to go over with the melee weapon manufacturers. So subscribe if you want to see more Wonderlands or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about the melee weapons for Wonderlands. And thanks for watching.